Okay. I think we're doing it. I think we're live.
Live.
2 hours of setup later, we have gathered here today to honor
Only 2 hours.
Erik too in this Mochi Podcast.
Learned a lot about OBS today and how it does not fucking work on Ariana's computer.
Yeah, guys, if anyone wants to sponsor me, get me a new computer that will help me to run podcasts better, let me know. Well, I'll do like a little intro because I'm not sure how Robin typically intros these days. But welcome to the Mochi Podcast with a Q. I'm Ariana. I am subbing in for our dear Robin. For the next couple of episodes. I am not the expert podcaster, so if something goes awry, that is why. I'm here with Erik too. This is actually his second time on the Mochi Podcast. So I don't know if you know this, but Robin, when he was briefing me on like you joining and like us chatting, this is your birthday is apparently on 2/2/2, and your last name is 2.
No.
And so, no.
My birthday's not on 2/2/2. I think it's just a play on my last name. My birthday's in July.
My birthday's in July. Wait, when's your birthday?
It's the last day of July.
Nice. Okay, well, scrap that. Yeah. Okay, so you're just here again. You're just here because you were such a lovely podcast audience member, guest, that... You wanted to come back. Was there like something particular that you wanted to like chat about today, or you just want to talk?
No, I mean, I think when I was talking to Robin, he just wanted to, put me on the podcast again as a play on my last name. We were going to do it on February 22nd, and that didn't work out.
Okay, you were going to film it on the 22nd.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Just back because I like it.
March 8th. Not February 22nd. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we can do the like classic YouTuber plug, like go back, listen to Erik's first episode and all the other episodes to get, I guess, some like ground information. But I mean, let's start with where your head is at right now in this moment.
My head. I'm actually playing a game right now as I'm talking to you. I should probably turn that off. We were spending 2.5 hours, actually 3 hours at this point, trying to debug this thing. Okay, close the game. I'm good. I'm 100% focused now. My head is at, how chill I'm going to be after this call. I'm going to head to the spa. Going to, hit up some nice saunas, take a nice steam bath thing, hit up some pools, eat some good sushi, how Sundays should always be. And that's kind of where my head's at right now.
Like a true Sabbath, like an actual rest day.
Oh yeah, like an actual one. Yeah. It's gonna be great.
Do you have a favorite room in the sauna or like in the spa place that you like to go to?
Yeah, I like the hottest sauna. It's actually not even. I feel like it's not hot enough. I feel like they can crank it up a little bit more, but I think it's maybe like a liability thing or something. But it's a really nice place to really challenge your mind. I think I don't know. So I've been meditating a lot recently. I started picking up meditation just like a few months ago from one of my coworkers who's kind of guiding me through meditation and all that kind of stuff. And when I'm in the saunas, I try to do a little bit of meditation practice and stuff like that. And I find obviously the hardest one is the hottest one, the hottest sauna to do like meditation in, and it's kind of like a game of how focused I can be kind of on my meditation.
Okay, 2 questions. Do you time yourself in there, and then what kind of meditation practice are you doing in there? Like, is it breathing? Is it mantras? Is it? There's so many, but I'm curious, like what your form of meditation looks like in the heat.
Yeah, so I time myself by I usually go with a buddy, and he's usually the one who kind of taps out first. So when he taps out,
Way to throw your friend under the bus, Erik. not everyone wants to die in a sauna.
Yeah, I could probably like accidentally kill myself in a sauna and I wouldn't even know. But that's usually how I time myself because I leave my cell phone like in the locker and everything because it's nice to just like lose a sense of time. I think it's like one of those things that controls our life so much, and when you just like let go of it, you just have such a much better time, focusing on yourself and all of that. But yeah, in terms of like the form of meditation, it's like I don't really know much about meditation. Like the only thing I really know how to do is like breathing practice. I started like this meditation course recently on. But honestly, I don't even fucking remember what it's called. I'm like paying attention like half the time while I'm on this like Zoom call with this dude that teaches you how to meditate in different styles. But yeah, it's mostly just breathing exercises.
Okay.
Just concentrating on my breath and like the void between like an intake and an outtake of breath. Yeah, very simple.
Ever, when either meditating in a sauna or meditating in general, so you talked about like the sense of time. Do you ever get scared that you'll lose your sense of time?
That's very interesting. Yeah, like only for the first time, like the first time where I went to this spa or like any spa in particular. Like the first time I've been to a spa was like maybe like half a year ago.
Okay.
And I left my phone in the locker because they're just not allowed to take it in for the first spot that I went to. But yeah, I was like, oh fuck, I wonder what time it is right now. I wonder what time it is. But after like what felt like a few hours, it's like I kind of just like forgot about it and learned to like lose myself in the moment, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is scary though, a little bit. Scary is not the right word, but you do feel a little bit on edge, I guess.
Does it make you feel like alive? Are you an adrenaline seeker?
I am an adrenaline seeker. Yeah. I love adrenaline. It makes you feel alive.
What are some other avenues for that adrenaline?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times it just comes from like my inability to time manage properly. I think it's a lot of it is like kind of not from my choosing, I guess. It's like, oh fuck, I need to do this now, and then it's like adrenaline rush.
No, I mean, I feel like I think there's like the age-old debate, right? Of like you have the student who has their planner and prepares and does the outline and then like stages out, when they complete their tasks, and then you have the crammer, right? Then you just have the like all-nighter, whatever substance.
That was me.
Yeah, same. I'm like, I feel like I'm a weird mix of the two, but I actually thrive a lot better under pressure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, but I feel like for a lot of people, and this is obviously true for me as well. It's like you thrive under pressure, but you also like break at some point under pressure, and it's like learning the balance is important, I guess. It's like I didn't learn how to find that balance until like earlier this year. It's like I'm 25 and I'm still, learning about how to control myself. Did
you experience like a break? Like, did you kind of push yourself too far somehow, and then you're trying to learn to step back, or is it more just like you could see yourself breaking, and so you're trying to like preemptively not break?
Yeah, no, I had like a full, I wouldn't say like a full like breakdown or anything like that, but I had this like moment that like just like snapped in me, and I was like, holy fuck, I really need to take some time off. And at that point, like I hadn't taken time off, except for weekends or like statutory holidays in like a couple of years, or maybe even 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck, I need to just drop everything and like disappear for a month. And that's exactly what I did. And it was probably like one of the best things I've ever done, at least for myself. And that's actually when I started meditating and all that stuff. Because it's really nice to have supportive coworkers who see, that you're having issues and just helping you out, even though you're on vacation.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this next question, would you like to go down the coworker path, or would you like to go down what happened in your month off path? Choose your your fighter.
What do you think would be more interesting? I don't
I
know.
think they're both interesting. But one, I feel as though if I ask a question about your coworkers, that starts to skew work, which, I don't know if we want to talk about work. I think it's more interesting to talk about like
Yeah.
us as people. Okay, so in your month off, what did you do?
So I spent my whole month off in Berlin.
Oh,
Um, yeah, like this is right after ETH Lisbon. I
oh,
had like my full like I need to take a break thing during like ETH Lisbon. So
oh
I
shit.
had a week in Lisbon, and then I spent like a month and a half in Berlin.
Oh wow.
So
So you
you
just
know what goes
decided
on
like
in Berlin.
you weren't coming back. You were like, I'm in Lisbon. I'm gonna stay in Europe. I need time.
Yeah, well, actually, coincidentally, like we were opening an office in Berlin, and so a bunch of my coworkers were there, and we all had like I was planning to go there anyways, and so I just stayed at the Airbnb with like all my coworkers who happened to also be my tight homies, and
Wow.
yeah, just spent like the whole month like partying and drinking coffee in the morning, and just developing like a normal person routine, with bunch. And I did retail therapy a lot there too. That was really
Yes.
nice for me.
Yeah. What was your favorite
Um,
purchase?
I bought a pair of raw denim jeans.
Mm.
Um, at that point, I hadn't bought like I hadn't bought like jeans or just pants in general for like maybe like 3 or 4 years. I'm just like not much of a shopper.
Okay.
I love shopping, but I don't like the idea of going shopping. But once I'm in it, like I fucking go hard. Um,
Like our matching
but
Chloe sneakers that we're gonna get.
Oh yeah, those are so sick. We really need to get those.
Yeah, if anyone
That
else is
that's
also adding this to the sugar daddy list, whoever's watching, buy me a
oh
new
yeah.
computer and get Eric and I matching Chloe sneakers. I'll send the link.
Yes. We're glucose father right now. But yeah, like I bought these pair of raw denim jeans, and yeah, I don't know, like it's like really cool. Like I didn't know anything about like jeans and stuff like that. Like you have to break in these jeans, like you can't wash them for like months or whatever. So I've just been wearing these jeans like nonstop, and I bought a bunch of other shit too. Like I bought like Supreme shit for the first time. I was like, oh, it's a Supreme store. Might as well go buy something.
Wait, did you wait? Did you wait in line? Were you one of the hype beast guys that waited in line?
No, it was a rainy day, as it always is in Berlin. So I don't know. There's like
Nice.
not that many people, but I got this really sick fucking sweater. It's my favorite sweater now.
Is Supreme cool in Berlin? I feel like Berlin gives me such an. I mean, I love Berlin, but I feel like it gives me such this like alt vibe that now that Supreme is pretty mainstream. How do the folks feel about it?
Yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure. Like everybody there mostly dresses in all black. It seems like. So I mean, I have no clue. I'm not really much of a Berliner. I love Berlin. I love partying in Berlin
Yeah.
and all that stuff, but I don't think I fit in there 100%. Like it's one of those places where I should spend like maybe like a month or two at most out of like the year there.
Okay.
It's too edgy, you know?
You're not. You're. Do you think? Do you? Is it that you don't think you were edgy, or it's too edgy for you to enjoy being there for a while?
um, I think I'm just more I think I'm just like a little bit more wholesome than most people there. Or something. I don't know. It's just everybody's dressed up in black all the time. It's like gray fucking skies like 8 months
Yeah.
out of the year. And yeah, I don't know. It's like it's a cool vibe, but it gets a little boring.
Yeah.
I want to just like hang out and play board games and dress up in like a colorful shirt.
Did you consider going anywhere else for your time off, or was it just kind of like a you were there so you stayed and rested while you were there?
I mean, so I did go to Croatia, like in Zagreb, for like a couple days, just to hang out and see some friends there. But I didn't really consider going anywhere else. I thought about it a few times, but then I was just so fucking depressed and lazy. I was like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna stay here and eat all day, and shop and do whatever the fuck. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take the train all around Europe, and then fucking like a month like flashed by like so fast. I was like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, I have been in that situation. That's kind of how I felt with like I left New York in November, came home, living
I
at home.
grew up in New York.
Yeah, I kept it kind of low key. I think there was some, and I don't know if you felt this way, but like I feel like there's a kind of a stigma around taking time off or like leaving or doing things for like your own wellness. Like it's kind of like I felt weird talking about it. And now I think
Yeah.
it's easier because now I'm kind of like, oh, this shit's actually kind of dope. Like, it's fine.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like I had all these like really lofty plans for me when I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go down south. I'm not gonna be around anybody. I'm not gonna party. So I'm gonna like do cleanses and I'm gonna like, get all like work out and I'm gonna like, do all this shit. And like, no, I was also like you said, a depressed and lazy lump for like probably it's been almost 4 months almost four. I don't even remember. But in that time, yeah, 4. We're at 4 months. I probably spent 2 of those months being a lump.
Just
And
sad blob.
sad,
Yeah.
sad blob. Like very sad
Yeah.
Mochi. But I think it was needed. And I think like
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think about like feeling your feelings. Have you heard that? People talk about like feel your feelings.
Feeling your feelings. What does that mean?
So like in therapy, do you go to therapy?
No, but I should, and I was planning to, but I'm too depressed to fucking book an appointment.
No, it's such the catch-22. No, that's very real. I mean, I've been in that boat. I've had friends and family in that boat. Like a dear, friend, like a family member of mine, really struggles with mental health, and it's like we can't force them to, take care of themselves. But it's like one of the things where we're like, oh, have you gotten your meds, or like have you like gone to therapy? And they're like, we can't function. And you're like, oh, that's fair, that's right. So feeling your feelings, basically it's like if you feel like depressed, rather than trying to get yourself up out of that depression, you could just like acknowledge that like, yeah, I feel depressed, and you feel it, and like you let yourself kind of feel the full range of like what that means. Or if like you're sad, right? Like, okay, if that means that you want to cry, don't wipe your tears, like ugly cry, snot, whatever, but just like cry. And like basically, so my therapist one time drew this like curve, and it was basically like when you like at the peak, you think that you're gonna, so kind of like with breaking, like you think you're gonna break at the top, right? Like you think if I cry, I'm gonna cry forever and I'm never gonna stop crying, and I'm gonna be stuck crying, right? Which like obviously no, but it's like you kind of have to get yourself up over that hump, and then like your body will hopefully regulate itself back to like normal, and hopefully that baseline actually becomes a bit higher because you felt the feeling. So it's like as you feel feelings, you kind of like build up resilience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. I mean, it sounds very similar to something from this meditation course that I was talking about. If I remember correctly, I think the term is called equanimity or something like that.
Okay.
I might be forgetting if that's like the actual term or not or whatever. But yeah, it's like kind of just, like being with it, instead of trying to push it away or whatever. It's just like letting it be there, like your emotions and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's something I'm still learning. I grew up, or I mean, like most of us probably grew up in an environment where, you don't talk about these kind of things. Not because it's like for any reason. It's just like you just don't. I don't know. It's like, hung out with a bunch of people who were the same as me. And, we just, And I'm only now am I learning, just like the vocabulary. I think that's like, one of the hardest parts is finding the vocabulary to explore these things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you found that, as you've been taking, I'm curious to hear about kind of like the classes or the class that you took and like what the structure was, like how many sessions, and like, do you feel like you're gaining vocabulary? I mean, it seems like you already are gaining vocabulary through that, but is that something that you want to continue in like a course setting or something else?
Yeah, I mean, the course I took was like almost like it was like half like theory of meditation. It was not really about like emotions or anything like that necessarily. It was just like different like practices. It's like learning to recognize things that you see and being more like intentional with things, I guess. So I mean, it wasn't that game changing of a course, I would say. It's just like more learning about meditation itself and not really, the emotional and all that stuff. Most of that I actually learned from just, talking to people who are much more in touch with their emotions and all that stuff. People who just like live through different stuff. It's like one of my coworkers is a little bit older than me, like probably like 8, 9, 10 years or whatever. And, just talking to him all the time, like really, that he's kind of the person who kind of like taught me the vocabulary just by like opening up and talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a nicer way, I think. I feel like it would be a little bit hard to do that in a course or anything like that.
Yeah. No, that's true. I think that notion of community assisting you on your own personal journey is like, it might sound intuitive, but it actually isn't, to me at least. And I'd love to hear more about like whether it's that coworker or other people, how like examples of kind of how you guys have like worked through stuff together, if that makes sense. Because I think sometimes, like, so of course I've been on Twitter a lot lately, and there's all these conversations about DAOs and community, and people seem to be, at least I think, I don't know how long some of the tenure of these people in the crypto space is, but a lot of people seem to be frustrated with the state of community in the digital communities that they're in. Like, they're kind of coming up short. And I think, community isn't something you can just like drop into and all of a sudden feel like instantly connected and, commune and like, have these kind of really cool healing and growing moments, right? But like, I think people like there's now this dissonance between like, I feel like community should be this, but it doesn't look like this. And so I'm wondering, in your experience, like maybe what are some of the elements of community, that like deeper community, that resonate with you and that it helped you connect more with yourself, but also with others. And if that's even something that you actively think about, or if it just is sort of kind of happening on its own.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things I think about sometimes. I don't really think about it too much. It's just like, I mean, with respect to like community in general, it's like I think people are trying to change communities, and like I don't know if that really works, or like people think about communities wrong, I guess. It's like people talk about the Web3 community, for example, and I feel like different communities have different scopes of things that people need to agree with. Like I think you have like technical communities, then you have like social communities and all that stuff, but people try to create this like monolithic community thing and impose their views, and like it just doesn't work like that. Because I mean, the Web3 community, I want to think of it more as like a technical community, and then something like Mochi is like more of a social community. And then community is just sounding like a really weird word now. Like, I keep saying it and saying it. Community. Yeah, people just like think of communities as like one big thing, but it's like I feel like it's a lot more smaller things. And when you try to insert like a social aspect to like a really deep social view or aspect to like a technical community, it's like that's probably not going to work out. I mean, and vice versa, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought much about communities. Like Mochi's like literally the only DAO that I've been in, and I've been in the space for like 5-6 years or whatever, and I just like don't get DAOs. I like except for Mochi, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, so many questions. Let's go down this path. Why haven't you joined other DAOs?
I don't know. I just don't think I really care. Like that's like kind of the honest answer, I guess. It's like I don't really care for DAOs that much. It's like I'm not saying DAOs are bad or whatever. It's just like it's just not my area of interest,
Yeah.
There's like so many fucking DAOs out there too. It's like
and also like what even constitutes a DAO? I mean, I feel like right now the term DAO reminds me. Do you remember when there was like the big debate between like blockchain and DLT, decentralized like ledger technology, for those who aren't familiar? Like I remember when there was this like heavy debate, right, around like what is a blockchain or what is a DLT, and it was kind of this like semantics thing. I feel like with DAOs, I find myself actually being like, everyone's using this word, but like under what definition and like by what parameter?
That's true. I mean, it's a definitely
Discord,
very
does it
broad
make it a
term.
DAO? Like if it's on Discord, is it just like automatically a DAO?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Yeah, I mean I feel like that's like like a pattern that we see like just throughout time in general. It's like people like to invent new words for things that already exist, or like they make a word and they like slap it on like literally fucking everything. Yeah, I don't know what a DAO is. That's a fucking great question.
I don't either. Like at this rate, at the rate by which like I feel like I've gone headfirst into the space literally just in the past week, right? So like also been in the space like 5 years, similarly, and have been tapped out. And I'm trying to dive back in, but I'm just like, what am I reading? Like, what am I seeing? And like, of course, the algo is its own monster, but like, I don't think I even know what it is anymore. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think of Mochi, in the context of a DAO. I think of something like Mochi as just like literally just like a fucking Discord
Slack.
server and
Yeah.
like friends.
Yeah, like, it was a Slack group, and now it's a Discord. Well, it was IRL, and then it was Quip. Remember the old days of Dark
Oh my
Slack
God.
and Quip?
Oh yeah.
And then it was a Slack, and now it's a Discord. So it's like DAOs obviously transcend platforms, but then also like I think the decision to make Mochi like explicitly a DAO, which we'll have to kind of chat with the core team, the Pomelo team, but like that also was a pretty recent, I feel like, terminology development, right? So it used to be like Mochi's a social club, and now Mochi's like a DAO, but now also a DAO tooling company, or like DAO tooling DAO.
Oh yeah, I don't fucking know.
Whatever. Okay. Back to you. Okay, we're gonna do a hard pivot. Okay.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready.
What are you researching right now at work? Like, what's piquing your interest?
I currently, so I mean, for the past like 2.5 years, I've been working mostly on things related to Filecoin, and so that's kind of the area of research that I'm currently, doing. When I get paid. Other than that, I'm, which is like really interesting. I love it. I love
can you
it.
give us can you give us like a state of play? Like, where is Filecoin right now today?
Right now it's like a cold archival storage thing. Like Filecoin is the vision for it is supposed to replace, data centers, and all, or like, I guess like make it smaller, like more distributed small data centers instead of like, these giant monolithic ones that can catch fire and wipe out everybody's shit. And, it's not at that point yet. But, eventually it will be. TM. Have you seen?
Yeah. Have you seen in your 2 years? Because like 2 years is in this space. 2 years is a very long time to be watching one thing. How have you seen it change and evolve? And like, obviously, I feel like time in blockchain land moves differently than like other lands. So like, what does 2 years feel like looking just at Filecoin?
Yeah, I mean, 2 years looks very different depending on whether your thing is in production or not. Like when I started working on it, it wasn't launched yet, so it was mostly like trying to build this shit. But in the last like year and a half that it's been around, I think it's almost 2 years now. Even I don't even know. Time's
I have no idea. It's like always kind of existed in my mind. Like I'm just like it's been there since eternity. Yeah. Like, which is not true.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it's like, there's more of a community growing around. Oh my God, not the word community again. But there's like more people,
they've been doing
playing around
with hackathons and stuff, right? Our own Maggie Love has been like a coach in some of those like hackathons.
Yeah. Maggie's big in Filecoin stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because Web3 cloud, not little, it's big. I shouldn't say little. It's like it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like the Filecoin ecosystem is, becoming a little bit more. There's a lot more people using it now. Like, like recently there's like, different NFT platforms using Filecoin to store. shit, and I'm like, yeah, for sure. There's like this thing called NFT.storage. I mean, I don't really know
I have
about it
seen
that well.
NFT.storage. I have seen that. Someone sent that in one of the mini discords I'm in, and I've been meaning to look at it. The last time we used IPFS, we used IPFS at UNICEF for some of our blockchain work, and I remember it just taking time to upload.
Fine. Yeah, that'll happen.
That was probably 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago. What is the timing? What's the terminology? It's not transaction time. I mean, it could be. I don't know. Confirmation time.
For IPFS?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not really it's not a blockchain at all. I mean, it's has nothing to do with blockchains, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a distributed file storage network kind of thing.
It's not hashed.
Nothing to do with blockchain. No, it has nothing to do with blockchains.
It used to.
Nope, never. IPFS has never had anything technically to do with blockchains. Yeah. It's in the family of distributed technologies.
Oh, this is...
Or decentralized tech, I don't know.
Alright, okay. We're learning today.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they have to build Filecoin, as well. Filecoin is supposed to kind of be it's almost like it uses a lot of the same technology as IPFS, but it builds an incentivized layer on top, for data permanence and blah blah blah. But yeah, there's nothing to do with blockchains. IPFS, yeah, surprises a lot of people because it's people use it DApp developers use it pretty often, and so it's associated with blockchains. I mean, it's developed by a company that is developing a blockchain.
Right? It's Protocol Labs, right?
Yeah. But it has nothing to do with blockchains.
Love that. Okay. You heard it here. Yeah. You heard it here, folks. Not that I think anyone is talking. This is not what people are talking about on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you been engaged and or been observing some of the ENS DAO Twitter drama? Should we get spicy?
Oh, that's spicy. I have not engaged in it because I feel like it's not really my place to be engaged. I also
Do you hold ENS tokens? Are you an ENS?
Do I have ENS tokens? No, I don't really have any ENS tokens. I mean, I got the airdrop, but I sold it to put a down payment on my condo.
Oh yeah, you did.
I don't really. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on there. There's a lot of stuff on Twitter, so yeah. It's you kind of get lost in all the shit. So, yeah, but I have followed it a little bit. It's kind of funny. It's kind of spicy. It's good shit.
Yeah, it is. I think I was, sharing with someone who has been very involved, and if for those listening and or watching, I'm not equipped to give a TLDR on it, so just go to Twitter and figure it out.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone who was very involved in it, and it brought up, to get back to a more thematic topic for this conversation, it brought up really serious concerns with governance, and how governance is implemented and executed and maintained, and so is governance, whether it's DAO governance or blockchain governance, and more broadly, is that something that you think about? And do you have kind of thoughts on it?
I mean, I have some thoughts on it, but they're pretty much without any merit. I don't want to pretend I know anything about governance or anything.
Does anyone actually know? Don't discredit yourself, because I think a lot of people talk out of their ass when they have no area or space to be talking either. So. Yeah,
it's true, but a lot of people have fooled themselves into believing that they know you know how shit works? Like, you know how when like blockchain started, or like when Ethereum took off, everybody suddenly became a fucking crypto economist, and like
Yeah.
everybody's like a game theory fucking expert. It's like people just like fucking lie to themselves so hard that they believe their lies, and they think they're like fucking experts at human behavior and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So I mean, I
I
just
do
like,
know. I do know exactly what you mean.
yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to preface with that, just for people out there. I don't believe that I know anything about this, but I have thoughts about
Don't
it because
cancel
I'm a
him
human
on
being.
Twitter. Leave him alone.
But yeah, I don't know. Governance is like, yeah, I don't know. It's not super interesting to me because I think it's too big of a topic to tackle. People like governance is such a huge fucking word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's idea of governance is different. Like whether governance works or not. It's like for the ENS situation, some people would say governance, the governance system there is working correctly. Some people say it's not. Like I think recently I saw on Twitter that I forgot his name, but like the guy who is the director of whatever at ENS
The one
or
that
whatever that
the
they're
one
trying
that
to.
they're voting to replace.
Yeah, the one that they're voting to replace. So they voted
Brantley.
not to replace him.
Yeah, Brantley.
Yeah, they voted not to replace him, and you know, to some people that would be a failure in governance, and to some other people it would be a success in governance. So it's so subjective. It's like, yeah.
Do you think governance is destined, or not even destined? Do you think governance is subjective?
I think it's very subjective, and I think people don't know what they want either.
Ooh, ooh. Let's
Yeah,
talk about that.
I have a strong. That's like one of my like spicy theories.
Let's talk about it.
I think like 90, like there are exceptions to people, but I think like 90% of people don't care about democracy, or like, you know what I mean?
I do.
I feel like people only care about, yeah, I'm sure you do. Like, but I don't know. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. Let's explore this.
I also know.
But
I share at least on that level of talking point that people don't care. And of course, I have my own list of like caveats and bullet points under that. But I that kind of high level point, I do agree with. But
I just think people want, like, you know, they want like the best for themselves, and you know, I feel like people only, not only, but, and I don't say people as in everybody, but a lot of people only care about this democracy and having their voice heard when things are going not their way. I think if given the choice, like 95% of people would be okay with, like, you know, a benevolent dictator, for example. Like, and that's like, you can see that in a lot of countries. I think, like, for example, like Singapore is like a very good example of this. Like they lack a lot of freedoms and their elections are basically a sham, but a majority of people are happy because their dictator is not fucking off his shit, you know. And that, I don't know, I believe that's potentially true, like just in general, that as long as, you know, you're not getting your shit fucked, like you're not, you don't really care as long as like somebody's working for you. I don't know. Curious to hear your takes on that, though. It's one of those things I don't say too often because I don't really talk about governance and all that stuff.
Well,
too much,
now
but
it's cemented
I
on the internet, so
yeah, that's okay.
yeah, no, I mean, I actually went on I have a whole Twitter thread that I did this morning on this. It's funny, I just started just like hot takes full on Twitter, just like bat shit out the gate, just like sharing my thoughts, just to get like, let's just see how it goes. But no, I in response actually to the Brantley situation, so a friend of mine is a delegate, a very dear friend of mine is a delegate, got caught up in the crossfire and was having to like defend themselves. And of course, like I'm a guard dog. I'm a mama bear. I will always like fight for my folks. And so I tried to fight this time, not directly. I fought indirectly. So I didn't go on people's threads, but I gave my own thoughts as to how I think governance right now is ass. And I think that I think a few things. One, I agree that most people just want to like look out for themselves and make sure like they're fine, and people don't care until things get bad. I think there is a group of people, and I kind of feel like maybe I'm actually in more of the second camp, where I think there is a small group of people that are probably like, I don't know if you call them like empaths or high, there's like HSP, like high sensitivity person, or like, I think there is a group of people that is a vast minority, I would say, that is always watching and is aware, and is likely going to call things out. And I think that comes from, at least for me, that comes from like, I've experienced a lot of shit, either first degree or second degree, right? From like either like I've experienced it or people that I care about have experienced it. And so like I hold a lot of realities and like concerns. And so I am always kind of on like high alert. I think most people are not, right? Like that, I think that's like, and that's fine. I'm not saying everyone should feel everything and be aware of everyone's traumas. But I think that like for most people, they just want to like do right by themselves and like not cause problems. I think most people don't want to go to protests. I think most people like don't really want to like, I think even in governance, like I don't think everyone wants to vote on everything. That's why we have a semi like representative, the word democracy, some experts wouldn't even apply it to the United States right now, but like in the US, like we don't really actually have a full proper democracy. We have a representative democracy. And I would even argue that like that's a stretch of the use of the term. But I actually think most people don't care. I remember ranting about this early on when people were talking about like blockchain for like impact and like wanting to create applications for like women in Africa to like be empowered, and then they're gonna like, vote on all the, and I was like, you think a mother in Africa, like in rural, like what you're envisioning, like a rural, disconnected, in a village, maybe illiterate woman is gonna like get on her non-existent, whatever fucking, if we're assuming that they're like the poorest of the poor, right? We're just gonna be like, oh, and they're just gonna like whip out their iPhone and then vote on a nice, easy UI mobile app on like every governance decision that, for a platform that manages their digital identity. And I just kind of like popped off, and I was just like, that's just like not it. And so I think like that's like an element of it. I think that people don't understand the responsibility of participating in governance. So that's all on like the people side, like the individual side, or like the, kind of the group being represented. I think on the people that are designing the system, which is the rant that I went on earlier, it has been like governance, this is fucking like, this is what philosophy is, no? Like governance has been documented. Experiments have been documented. Like things have been iterated upon. Like there is very little that is new under the sun, right? And I find it shocking when people just start building systems without doing a bit of like at least minimal desk research to develop their system, to learn maybe like best practices or like what not to do, or like basic things. For example, like building a system that is not set up for like user engagement or, participatory like engagement, then no one's going to participate. So then your system, like system design, I think is like, there's a lot of issues with it right now. And I think, because folks are moving really fast, and I think people just like, it's fine in some of these experiments, right? Like ENS, like, oh, God forbid the ENS experiment like dissolve. Now someone's definitely going to come at me for that. But like, like, I don't think that that's like a really high stakes situation. Now I think when we, forecast in the future and it's like, oh yeah, your government is on the blockchain, or like your money is all on, like all of your assets are on the blockchain, like then you have to design a system well, and like the onus falls on you to design with the user in mind. And I think that like people don't want to do that, but maybe that's, people don't want to do it, or they're just not incentivized to do it enough yet.
Yeah, I mean, all of these solutions, we can call them for governance, they're all like so like I feel like this is like probably the first time in history like where people were able to like design these things and have people participate in like an easier way. So there's a lot that people are still learning about what works and what doesn't work, and it's like so easy and so fast to build these things that people forget to take a step back and look at things that have worked and haven't worked in the past. So I mean it's kind of like understandable why shit kind of fucking sucks. It's just something that'll fix itself over time,
Hopefully.
I think, hopefully, like I don't know.
No, hopefully. I mean, I think there's going to be, and I said this in a tweet, but I was like, I want someone to write a case study on the ENS situation because I think there's going to be, I think the issue will continue, and I think there's lessons to be learned, and I would hope that, because I don't think that there has been a big DAO governance beyond like the DAO hack, and things like that, which like that's governance in like a very different sense of the word, I would say. That's like more technical governance than like human governance, human blockchain governance. But I think like there are a lot of lessons to be learned from this that I hope get preserved, or I hope gets folks talking, in their own DAOs and their own communities about like, well, yeah, what happens if X, Y, Z? Or like, how do we ensure, even just like streamline communication? Like that's something that like, for instance, like everything right now is like, I think there's something like on Snapshot, which I was like the Snapshot. I don't know what Snapshot is, but I've seen it like the Snapshot. So like, I think there's information there, but all of the dialogues I've been seeing have been on Twitter. Twitter is not a documentation tool. Like Twitter is not, you can't like, to point someone to like a Twitter thread, which is in like reverse chronological order to like reference what's going on is like not great. But no, I mean, I think governance and then token gated governance and then like, I feel so negative. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm like,
no, we're cautiously optimistic.
We are cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. That's for sure. Have you ever thought about not working in crypto?
No. I mean, like yes and no. It's like I never like seriously thought about like not working in crypto, but sometimes I think about how things would be different if I wasn't working in crypto. Like I have spent like pretty much all my adult life in crypto. Like so I'm like 25 and I've been in it for like 5-6 years. It's like basically like all my adult life and definitely post school life. And I feel like I don't know. There's so much more that needs to be done, and I don't really want to start over somewhere else. It's like the problems are different; they're not as fun, But I do wonder, how my life would be if I was working at like Facebook or something, getting paid, fucking like $300,000-$500,000 a year, getting fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the cafeteria. I've been there. I've been to the Facebook office before. Like I have a lot of friends who work there, and whenever I visit them, like we don't even go out for breakfast half the time. We just go to the fucking office.
Oh yeah, Facebook, Google, like the New York offices for both of those are crazy, and like it's actually funny. So I had the chance to. So I'm also 25. Funny. And
I know that.
Yeah, I usually don't talk about it, but it feels relevant because you're 25 too. I like to act older.
Yeah.
Or not act older. I like to, be perceived as older, right?
Sure.
But so my options after graduation, it was Consensus or Google. And it was really funny because I was like, this feels like, like a metaphor, right? And this was also the time when Silicon Valley, the TV show, had come out. And so I was like, am I going to go work for Hooli or Pied Piper? Like, which one? It was like, ultimately we picked Pied Piper, but I think about it often. And I haven't been working in crypto for the past year. So I did 4 years on. I've now done 1 year off. And it's really weird. It's like really odd. But
that's interesting that, you chose, Consensus over Google. Because if I was in your position, Wait, did you say you were working on blockchain stuff before that?
No,
Or not at all?
No. So, well, I had a summer internship. So that's where summer internship after I graduated, that's what started, like, I had a blockchain assignment. And then that's when I just started with, like, researching. And then it was like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I was, faced with that choice, at that point in my life, and I didn't know crypto, it's like there's no way in fucking hell I wouldn't have taken the Google job. I fell into Consensus as an intern back in 16 because I got rejected from Tesla.
Why? Okay, so what kind of intern? Like, what was the Tesla internship, and then what did you do for Consensus, or like, how did you get in?
Well, like at my university, we had like this job portal thing where employers come, list like their postings on there, and then people like spam like resumes, like kids will just like spam resumes to like 50 different fucking companies, and like they have like a whole system and a whole timeline. There's like different, like if you don't accept an offer by a certain date, and it's all determined by the system, like the university system. And yeah, the system. Yeah, but like at a certain point, like I only had like two things left. I had like Tesla and I had Consensus because everything else expired, because I was like, I really want to do this Tesla job. Like I want to work on hardware and all that shit. And unfortunately I didn't get it. Well, it's unfortunate at that time, but now I'm happy I didn't. But and the only thing I had left was Consensus, and I had no idea what the fuck blockchain was. I thought I was just going to be doing like a shitty web dev thing for like a few months. I've only ever used Bitcoin and all that stuff before for like buying shit off the dark web or whatever. So I was like, whatever. I guess this is my next 4 months, just writing websites or whatever. And yeah, like somehow, like, and I still didn't believe in this shit until like maybe like my last like month or something there. Like the whole time I was just like talking to different people working at Consensus. I was like, this doesn't work, right? Like, I was like trying to like poke holes and everything, and then like at some point I was like, okay, I guess this is real.
That is
and it's
so
pretty
interesting. Okay, wait. What team were you on, and then what was kind of like what were some of your primary tasks in the internship?
Like when I first started at Consensus, for like the first like few months, when I was an intern there, I was working like most of my time on Infura, and the other parts of my time working on like smart contract related stuff, like governance actually. But I mean, I didn't really understand anything about governance back then. I was just like, this is cool. Let's write some smart contracts. But yeah, I was just like, throughout the course of that, I was just talking to people who were at the office, and I was like, yeah, okay, but what about this in blockchains? Like, how does it, like this? There's no way this can work, or and then I tried to poke a hole in here, and then yeah.
What cemented? So you obviously you did the internship. I'm assuming that, did you get a job offer out of it, or did you have to like apply, or like how did you move to full time? Like,
I was technically never full time there.
Oh,
I mean, I was working like full time, but I technically wasn't full time, if that makes sense, because I got that job when I was in second year of university, and half the people were trying to convince me to drop out, the other half were telling me to stay in school. So I was like, okay, what about just staying in school and working at the same time? So during school I was still like working, some amount of hours a week or whatever, which is why, I was there for like the longest time. And I did get a full-time offer, after I graduated.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I want to try something different. I've been here for like 3 years now.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So you said it wasn't until like kind of the last month of the internship, to probably like month like 3 or 4, that you kind of said like, this is legit. Was it like a light bulb moment, or was it just kind of like a compounded realization?
Yeah, I mean, it's really compounded. It wasn't really a realization moment or anything like that, but it was just like, when I exhausted like, my questions, and, like I just like I had nothing to poke at anymore. I was like, all right, fine.
I love it.
It's like I got defeated.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, very cool. What next? I don't have a question bank. I should have developed. I was so distracted. I actually planned on doing prep questions before, and then it turned into a fucking 2-hour setup process.
Yeah, I saw you trying to source questions on Twitter, but that was not a success.
Did anyone say anything?
Like that you with VJ? No, nobody said anything, but VJ liked your the post.
VJ is so loyal. VJ loves likes hearts on my stuff. I'm like, you're a real one, VJ. Shout out to VJ.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, I thought I figured like I haven't seen, and this is not a diss on Robin, but I haven't seen Robin like crowdsource like questions yet, and so I was like, let me shake it up. Let me try to like see if the internet has questions for Erik.
Yeah, Robin, step up your Twitter game, dude.
Yeah, fuck helping people.
Getting some fights.
What are you listening to right now? Do you have a favorite song or artist at the moment?
Yeah, I do actually. Like for the past probably like half a year to like a year or so, I've just really been into Porter Robinson, and all my friends will know this because this is like literally every time we're chilling, it's like I'll play some Porter Robinson. I don't know if you ever heard of Porter Robinson.
Yeah, I have.
It's like this like
I don't know a song.
Oh, nice.
Well, I've heard. I don't know what genre, or I don't know like a song.
It's like electronic-y kind of shit. I don't really know genres too well. I kind of just listen to like a mishmash of things. Which is why I really enjoyed the classic albums by Women Club.
Yeah.
I just found so many new songs there, and it's actually one of the reasons why I'm like gonna cancel my Spotify soon because Joni Mitchell isn't on there anymore. Because of the whole like Joe Rogan blah 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 thing.
Were you at the Joni Mitchell? Were you at that call?
The Joni Mitchell one? Yeah, of course.
Oh my god, did you see my grandma on it?
I don't remember.
Oh my god,
was she there?
My grandma was on it. Yeah.
Oh no way!
Yeah, it was funny.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's okay. Wait, so you are wait? Okay, that's a spicy subject. You're gonna cancel because of Joe Rogan?
No, it's not because of Joe Rogan. I don't really have an issue with Joe Rogan. Like I don't listen to him, but I don't really listen to podcasts in general.
You know where Joni goes.
Yeah, it's like Joni Mitchell's gone. I think Neil Young might be gone too, and I listened to a little bit of Neil Young.
Yeah, I think Erykah Badu.
I don't even know who that is, but yeah, a lot of people are like angry.
Oh, Erik! Okay, we gotta get you on Erykah Badu. She's like,
oh my god, yeah,
black neo soul legend.
Oh, I love soul music.
Yeah,
I have like a whole playlist.
She's like a late 90s, early 2000s like icon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I've never heard of her.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I'm like very like culturally like not there. I don't really know much about like like growing up. It's like I didn't listen to rock. I didn't listen to Weezer until like second year of university.
Same.
Like for example.
Yeah.
And I mean I'm obsessed with Weezer too. Like they're probably my favorite band of all time. Like I love Weezer. It's like they're awesome. But it's like shit like that. It's like kind of. I was only listening to like 50 Cent and Eminem for like the first like 15 years of my life.
How funny. Okay, so wait, you grew up in Toronto?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
still here.
Still here.
Mm-hmm.
Still here.
Still here.
You've
gonna die here too.
You've mentioned your your upbringing a couple times. What was it like? Like, what was your upbringing like, and what were you like as like a child and in high school?
I don't know. My upbringing is probably like very vanilla and boring. It's like upbringing.jpg. I had, I was never bullied. I never really, had any of that shit. I just like grew up pretty. I don't know if sheltered's the right word either, because
Did you grow up religious?
Like we never grew. Sorry.
Did you grow up religious?
Like no, not really. Like my parents are Buddhist, but they're like
that trends you really sheltered. So like when you said sheltered, I was like, there's a lot. I feel like being raised really religious cuts out a lot of pop culture for people.
Yeah. No, I mean I grew up in a pretty diverse neighborhood. My parents still live there. It's like I have a lot of friends there.
Your dentist is there.
I don't know. Huh?
So your dentist is there.
exactly. My dentist is there. Like, I had to go see my dentist yesterday, so I decided to stay home for a night so my mom stops yelling at me. Um, but yeah, what else? Yeah, there's nothing too interesting about my upbringing. It's like
What were you like
it
as a
wasn't
kid?
particularly.
And like, what were you into?
Oh, as a kid?
Yeah, like what were some of your
Oh
hobbies?
yeah, I was very. I mean, my mom seems to think I was a problem child, but I was definitely not a problem child. I was. I mean, like, I was one of those, like, I never like actually got into trouble, but I never listened to my parents either. Like, you know what I mean?
Sneaky,
So it's like
sneaky.
my parents are like, come home like for dinner, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna go play basketball with the kids. Like we used to have like one of our neighbors had like a basketball net, and it's like like 20 kids just playing basketball on the street. Um, and yeah, like I never listened to my parents, like I still don't. But I never got into trouble either. But my parents seemed to think I was a trouble kid. They were gonna send me. So my parents seemed to have like this interesting uh, perception of like Catholic schools in Toronto, and they're like, oh, like they're religious. They must be like, the kids must be really well behaved. It's like they're threatening to send me like Catholic school, which I can go to because they're public here for some reason.
Interesting.
Public
by public,
yeah.
Do you mean free, or like what do you mean by public?
It's free and it's like government funded. It's like the same thing as like the public school board, except they're Catholic. Yeah, I don't know. And she was gonna send me to like boot camp or some shit too. I was like, "You're not gonna send me to boot camp." I called her bluff so hard, and of course she didn't send me to boot camp. I'm a good kid.
I love that you called your mom on her bluff.
Oh, I always call them. Well, yeah, they bluff so hard all the time. Like, I I grew up like realizing shit about my parents like really fast. It's like my mom would like pretend to be angry and chase me around with a fucking stick and like hit me with the stick. And there's just one time where I just like where I was like running from my mom and she's like chasing me with like a fucking like spatula or something like that, and I just turned around. And then like we like eye to eye for like 10 seconds, and like I started laughing and she started laughing. It's like, what are we doing? It's just so funny.
That is incredible. Do you want to have kids?
I'm not against the idea of it. Like,
what kind of parent do you see yourself? I mean, no, like calling your parents on their bluff. How do you think that you will parent differently?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'd parent like pretty much the same.
Okay, so you
I feel like my parents are pretty good
on your shit.
Sorry?
You would want your kids to call you on your shit.
I mean, I don't know. Probably not. But other than that, I think that's mostly like a personality thing.
That's true.
I've always been that kind of kid. But in terms of like how I raised my kids, probably the same way as my parents. Like I think they did an okay job. Like they never forced me to do anything. They always suggested that I do things, but never forced me to do anything. Or like when I started trying something and I didn't like it, like I could quit anytime. Or if I really enjoyed it, like I continue going on with it if I wanted to. It's like it was pretty fucking chill. It's like very much contrary to the stereotypical like Asian parent kind of thing. My parents are. I mean, they're obviously quite Asian because they're from Asia, they're born and raised. But in terms of parenting, they're pretty chill.
Do you feel like you have, because Toronto, I mean, is pretty diverse, I feel. Or like,
very diverse.
Yeah, so growing up in like such a diverse environment, did you feel like you had to combat some of those stereotypes, whether for yourself or for your family?
Yeah, I mean, not entirely. I mean, like growing up, it's like we didn't really have the concept of like, the whole PC stuff or whatever. Like we just growing up, like every kid, like made stereotypical jokes about every other kid. So because I grew, like the school I grew up in had like pretty much every fucking type of person.
Yeah.
It's actually funny though. We didn't have like any white kids though. There's like maybe like one white kid in my middle school graduating class. Yeah, it was like all like like East Asian, Southeast Asian, South Asian, a lot of people from the Caribbean, a lot of people from Africa. So it was like, we didn't like our concept of like what people like to think of racism and all that stuff. It was like kind of different. Like we always made jokes about shit. It's like obviously can't do that anymore or anything. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a good old days or anything, but it was different.
No, I mean that's really fascinating. Did that shift when you went to college and or like started like working?
Yeah, it was quite different when it was actually during high school, where I went to like a specialized program, and the school was like a little bit out of the neighborhood, so there's a lot more white kids and a lot less, black kids, brown kids, Asian kids, like, and it was almost like a culture shock. In grade 9, for like the first like few months, I was people call me the ghetto kid, which is kind of funny. It's like, dude, I'm like probably like the least fucking ghetto person, or whatever that even means. But
yeah, I'm like, I'm so curious. What was it? Your 50 Cent? Was it listening to 50 Cent? Like, what was it?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's just like the way I talked was a little bit different because, like, I mean, I grew up with like people with like nobody talked like very few people talk like like very standard,
sure.
Like fucking
English. I imagine there was like a huge mash of accents, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. It's like everybody's parents like spoke a different fucking accent, and like obviously the kids spoke a little different too. And yeah, so I guess I just spoke a little funny. And I was the little ghetto kid I mean, it wasn't for much. It was just for a little bit, and I didn't really feel much from that. I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't know. Call me whatever you want. I don't give a fuck. It wasn't like a negative thing either.
Yeah,
like,
it was like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like fucking kids. It's like they don't know what the hell they're saying.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Has
that? Yeah. Oh wait, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
I was gonna ask, and I mean, sensitive subject, and if you don't want to chat, we don't have to chat about it. But I'm curious, like, with the big, I don't know how much of the like, particularly in New York and LA, SF, like in the past year, obviously there's been a past 2 years, like huge rise in like hate crimes, like Stop AAPI Hate, like a lot of movements, a lot of protests. I haven't really chatted with any of my friends that are that identify as a variation of Asian about existing within that space. I feel like as a Black woman, like oftentimes people are like, oh my gosh, are you okay with all the BLM stuff? Or like every time, another like Black person gets killed, I get like a text. And I'm curious, like, what it's been like for you, but also like I don't know if that has spread to Canada. I'm sure it has, but like.
We import all the shit that goes on like in America, all the political culture, all that shit gets imported so fast nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, just going back to like when I was growing up, it's like I never really experienced anything that I would consider like racism or anything like that. I grew up pretty good, I guess, in that sense, But yeah, I mean, in terms of like the whole whatever is going on, it's like I am a little bit scared, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I haven't really gotten the chance to like sit down and think about it too hard. But I saw videos of like people like fucking drop kicking like old people, and old people have like a very like deep place in my heart. And yeah, it's a little scary. It's like I was thinking about like if my mom was like walking down the street one day and someone just like drop kicks my mother, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So I don't know. But the thing that I'm more scared about right now with respect to like, racism and all of that is like, obviously there's like the whole war going on, and, there's like I saw like a tweet that like some university in fucking like Italy or something like that tried to like ban like this book by like some Russian writer like 100 years ago or whatever. I mean, I'm sure they like backtracked on that, but yeah, like it seems like in a lot of places, people are just forgetting that, like everybody's people, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's just like made me think about like, back in World War II and stuff like that, when they put like people in internment camps and shit like that, even World War I and all that stuff. I'm like, shit, if we go to war with China, I might be like fucking sent to a camp or something like that, living in Canada. Like, I don't know. And that's one thing that's been like in the corner of my head recently. I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I hope it doesn't. Hopefully now that, the whole world is more diversified, so to speak, that might not happen, but it could. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's scary. It's very, very scary. Yeah, so a macro topic that we can chat about, and I think I kind of know what some of your thoughts are on that are. So like censorship, with regards, and like maybe I shouldn't even use that term because some people probably wouldn't call it that, but like when pieces of history or historical literature, art, etc., are removed when conflict arises. Yeah, how do you feel about that? Whether that's Confederate statues in America or Russian literature or fill in the blank. What do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely a very saucy one that you're bringing up. Yeah, I don't know. I think like I mean, I'm not American, so I don't really know how things go on there with like the whole Confederate statue shit. But I think we just need to stop revering people in general.
Yeah. Well, I know right now. So, for example, I know there's in Canada. This is kind of the one Canadian controversial thing right now, but is like the schools, like the for like Indigenous peoples and like all the like mass graves that they're finding and stuff. So I'm sure maybe that's like a Canadian equivalent of like
Sure. Yeah,
I
mean, we like there's like talks about renaming different schools and stuff like that as well. And in general, like I'm okay with that as long as you don't rename it to another fucking person, because like we're gonna have the same shit in like 50 or 100 years. Like I don't know, like there's like some fucking school in Toronto, like some elementary school. I think it's called like Queen Victoria. I don't know. I saw this on like a really shitty like not news website. They like to position themselves as news. It's called Blog.to for all the Toronto folks. It's like not news, but
shout out
to Blog.to. But they wanted to like rename it to like another person. I think it's funny. I think they wanted to rename it to like Michelle Obama or something like that, which is like kind of funny. Like I don't really get it. Like she's cool and all, but like it's kind of irrelevant for us. But I would be against renaming it to like Michelle Obama Elementary School simply because I just don't think we should be naming things after people. Because after some certain amount of time, like anybody has the potential to become like a controversial figure. I think we should just rename it to like fucking like I don't know, Maple Tree. I'm looking at like Green Grass Elementary or something like that. I just think we need to stop like building statues of fucking people in general. And if we're gonna memorialize these people, there certainly is like other ways to do it. I'm sure, right? Like I don't know, but that's kind of my thoughts. It's like we have one of the main streets in Toronto is like Dundas, and that's named after like some dude from like fucking like 17 or 1800s or something, and he's kind of problematic because of slavery and whatever. And they're like, why don't we just associate Dundas Street with a different Canadian person named Dundas who did like good shit? And I'm like, how about we just, if you're gonna fucking change the name or whatever, let's just like fucking name it like fucking like New York. I think we should do like New York, like fucking Fifth Avenue or whatever. Like we should do numbered streets, numbered avenues, and like that would make life so much easier for us and for like the future. I think, I don't know, we should stop naming things after people. It's problematic.
Well, I think it's interesting what you said, like it's, and I'm paraphrasing obviously, but like what you were kind of saying, that at some point everyone is going to be problematic is kind of what or controversial, like you get far enough away, it is likely that will happen, because, and my assumption of what you're kind of thinking is like politics change, viewpoints change, trends change, and so that which was at one point heralded, it's not guaranteed. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, like maybe like in 100 years, like we're gonna become like an extremely racist society, and they're gonna have to rename Michelle Obama Elementary School again.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't think we are, but like obviously there's like some people I don't think will ever become controversial people, but it's like you never know for sure.
Sure.
It's like like Tom Hanks Elementary. I think Tom Hanks would never be like a controversial figure, unless he already is, and I just like I'm not.
No, I think he's clean. I think he's clean.
He's clean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he'll forever be clean. But I don't know. They might dig up some shit like in like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we should have named it Tom Hanks Elementary School.
Yeah. Do you think about like your legacy, or like ever think about like your obituary, or how people think about you after you're dead?
Not often. I don't really plan on dying anytime soon. So I haven't really thought about that yet. I just, I don't know. I haven't really thought about death and all that stuff for myself.
So I guess legacy and death are kind of two different questions, because I should maybe separate it out. But I was thinking about this recently, like yesterday. But I think I feel like there are people who act in service of a legacy, and then I think there are people who like, it's not binary, right? But I think, for example, of like fucking Succession. Like, I was talking with, shout out Gabe, about this, and a certain company and a certain company's leader, you know, as compared to like other famous, you know, leaders, such as the ones in Succession. You know, and it's like that the main guy. Have you seen Succession?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Show on HBO. I'm sure you should get it in Canada. But it's about like basically it's based off of the Murdoch family, which the Murdoch family runs the Fox News empire, right? And all the associated like brands. And so it's about like a family who was like a media mogul family, and like their dynasty, and it kind of goes through like their journey in like, you know, today times. But it's like so obvious and apparent that like the leader of this company keeps like legacy and like the family brand and the family name very like front of mind, right?
That's such a classic trope.
Do I?
I said that's such a classic like TV trope.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, dude. The writing is phenomenal. Like, I binged it so fast. I think there's three seasons, but I think like Gabe and I were talking again, and I was just basically comparing someone who I don't think is operating in that manner to someone, you know, in fiction who is. And, you know, I think there's intentional and unintentional moments of that, but I then yesterday was thinking more recently about like, you know, I think some people are in pursuit of like, whether that's branding themselves, whether that's like building a company or a project that will live on. Like, I think there's a kind of a category of folks that are thinking about like how they are being actively perceived and like what they're leaving and how people, you know, engage with who they are or what they create. And then I think there are people who just like live their lives.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not much of a legacy person. I don't believe in things needing to last that long. Like nothing should ever last like hundreds of years. You know what I mean? It's like, let's say you invent some fucking new idea or whatever, and it's like, if society hasn't fucking improved on that idea or like had come with something better, like, you know, in the next like 100 or 200 years, then they kind of fucked up pretty hard. I mean, there's obviously like some things that, you know, will probably stay with us, you know, through the eternity of time, but I don't really aspire for that, because it's like, I don't know, it's like, do you really want somebody to be using your shitty software like 200 years from now? It's like, hopefully like we'll come up with something better, you know? Like, I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about legacy. It's like I don't know. I just don't like, you know, really like old shit. It's like, there's definitely better ways to, you know, as society evolves and there's new things, like there's definitely better ways to do like everything. There's very few things I think should exist for hundreds of years.
Is there anything that you hoard or keep as like a memento or like preserve for you in your life personally?
Well, what do you mean by that? Like what?
Scrapbooks, concert tickets, photos.
Yeah. Let me think. No, nothing really. I am a hoarder, but I'm not like a sentimental hoarder. I mean, I'm not even much of a hoarder right now. Like, my apartment's fucking empty.
Yeah.
it's really easy for me to hoard things, and it's also really easy for me to like just like throw everything out at the same time. Like growing up, like, and even as of like the last few years, like I used to hoard like a bunch of like old electronics, because I'm like, oh, like yeah, it's broken, but I can source parts from it. I don't know. It's like, but then my mom was like, dude, what the fuck? It's like you have all this shit here, and I was like, all right, fuck it, just throw it out. But in terms of like mementos, like pretty much the only thing I keep around, that probably like held on to, like I'm like looking at my desk and like thinking about like my wallet and backpack. And pretty much like the only thing I have that I've carried around with for like years is, so like during Chinese New Year's you get like these red envelopes. So this is actually the thing that I'm talking about, the thing that I hold on to. And I got one from my grandma the year before she passed, and that's like pretty much the only thing I hold on to. It's like it's unopened, like I don't even know how much money's in there.
Oh, wow.
I just hold on to it, and I keep that with me at all times. Just because I don't know. I'm not really much of a sentimental person. That's like literally the only thing. Like other than that, I'm not really much of a like physical sentimental kind of person. Yeah. I also have a pair of basketball shorts that I've been wearing for like 10, 15 years. That I wear to sleep every night. Like the elastic's all fucked. I just don't want to throw it away because it's so comfy.
No, I get that for sure. Wait, why haven't you opened the envelope?
I don't know. It's one of those things with once it's like very irrational. It's like once you open it, you can't unopen it, and it's like I know it's in there. It's like money. Actually, I don't know how much money, so I don't know. It's not like I'm gonna spend it or anything like that. So I just keep it unopened and sealed. Just cause I don't really know.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Wait, so you purchased a condo. When did you do that? How did that process go? Did you wait? And you said you sold your ENS, so I'm assuming you bought it in cash, or you paid cash. You did not do a crypto transaction.
No, I don't. Can you even buy a house with crypto? I mean, I'm sure you can.
At this point, I don't. Remember there was a project from Consensus that was about that.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
I don't remember. There's like so many projects at Consensus. I can't remember all of them. I bought this sometime last year, like under a year. And it was a pretty smooth process. I kind of just like panic bought it. I obviously didn't pay it in cash or anything like that. I still got a mortgage like a normal fucking person, not like filthy rich or anything like that. I'm pretty normal, not rich, not poor.
Why was it a panic purchase? What spurned it?
Oh well, I wanted to move out for a while. So like while I was in university, I was living away from home for 5 years. And obviously, I lived in New York for a bit, San Francisco, LA, blah, blah, blah. And just coming back home, like, was kind of, I just didn't want to live with my parents. It's like, I discovered that I love my parents a lot more when I don't have to see them, like, every fucking moment. You know what I mean? Like, my mom doesn't work. So when I'm at home, like, I fucking have to, like, hear my mom shouting on FaceTime with her friends, like, 24/7, or, like, watching, like, weird fucking YouTube videos and like cooking very loudly.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate all the cooking and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I do appreciate like having my own space and just like quiet and all that stuff.
Sure.
So after university, I did a bunch of traveling and all that stuff, and then I came back, and then like 2 months later, the fucking pandemic happened, and I was like, oh my god, I'm stuck. So I was stuck, and I was just like really fucking like, I just really needed like my own space.
Yeah.
And I was gonna go rent, and then one of my friends was like, "Oh, there's a condo like right next to me, and it's like the price is pretty good and all that shit." So I just like, started looking at like units in general, and then in the span of like 3 weeks from when I decided that I wanted to move out, like I just like fucking signed for a condo.
Wow.
That's what it wasn't like a panic thing, but it was like a very like fast thing. I was just like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is this something that you think you'll like be in for a bit and then move? I don't know if you want to have a family or if want something bigger, or is this kind of like you're in it, and you're gonna move in like a year. I mean, I don't know how long's a mortgage, and I don't even know how Toronto can't like Canadian.
Like 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Same.
I mean, I'm probably not. This is not going to be my forever home. Like, I do want to eventually have a backyard where I can like grill things or whatever. But yeah, like a house is like an actual like house in Toronto is just like fucking completely unaffordable. It's like I would have to like sell like all my fucking worldly belongings to like put a down payment on a house. You know what I mean? It's like a house is like at least like 1 point blah like 2 or 3 million or something minimum. It's really expensive here. Yeah. Unless you want to live in the fucking suburb. And I hate the suburbs. I hate suburbs. I do not ever want to own a car in my life. I can drive. People don't think I can drive, but I show them my license and they're like always surprised because they never see me driving. But I can drive and I have driven before. But I just do not want to own a car. It's like so much overhead.
It
like,
is
in my
a
life.
lot of overhead. Yeah, no, that's something like moving home. You know, I didn't have a car in New York, and my parents, you know, they have cars, and it's so funny because it's like, they live in like a house, like we live in like a housing development kind of like outside, you know, of Nashville, and it's like you have to have a car, you have to full stop, like you have to have a car. So I'm like, it's really nice when I go grocery shopping and I can buy like a fuck ton. I don't have to like carry it, you know, myself. But then I'm like, I don't want a car. Like I cannot fathom living in a place until I have like a ranch, like a huge ass property. Like up until that point, I cannot fathom not being able to like walk to like a coffee shop or to a train or like to my friend's house. Like accessibility is such an important thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also just a city boy in general. Like, I think about living in a suburb, or like, you know, like people like dream about like moving to a fucking huge like 20-acre like farm fucking thing when they retire. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna do that. Are you crazy?
So you're saying
I'm staying in the city forever.
You're saying you wouldn't join the Mochi compound, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, I'd come hang out for like a couple months or something, but you know, at the end of the day, it's like I want to be able to get super fucking wasted, you know, at a bar or something and walk home, you know, stumble home or whatever. I don't want to like, you know, call an Uber or whatever all the time or like drunk drive or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like the city's great for like, you know, just getting wasted at any time and making it home. It's someone, that's one of the big things.
I literally saw on Twitter someone was talking about, there was someone who was like, is it just me or like, do like people, it was literally, I think it was around like, it was either tech or Web3, but it was like people in, you know, tech or Web3, like in New York have like a drinking problem. Everything revolves around drinking. And someone was like, this is why I'm moving back to LA. And I wanted to be like, you know, I think it is so interesting that like the idea of having easily accessible transportation does enable you to like get fucked up way more.
Yeah, it's just easier. That's like literally probably the biggest thing that's keeping me from like moving out of Toronto. It's like I can get fucked here anytime.
What's your drink of choice?
I'm more of a whiskey person. I also really like beer, but I've had this issue recently where I get bloated very easily. And so it's like really hard for me to like get wasted on beer. So, and I really like the taste of whiskey, so I drink a lot of whiskey. But I've also just been cutting back on alcohol in general. Like I've been getting acid reflux. I'm like something like really hit me once I turned like 25. Where like every time I go out, like not even every time I go out, it's just like in my jacket pocket and in my fanny pack, I always have like these mini travel packs of Tums. Because like it's like I'll drink like maybe like 4 whiskeys and I'm like, oh fuck, like I need a Tum right now. I'm getting acid reflux. But yeah,
we're aging.
I know it just hurts. So I can't sleep at night. I just have to take Tums.
At the Mochi ETH Denver party?
Sorry, was I what?
Were you sipping whiskey at the Mochi ETH Denver party?
No, I wasn't.
Wait, should we discuss you getting iced?
I got iced. I don't know. It was probably like my first time getting iced ever. And yeah, I've managed to like live my whole life without getting iced. From what I remember.
What? Wait,
But
so that
probably the times where I've gotten iced, it's like I was probably drunk as fuck, so I probably don't remember anyways. If I ever,
so
like, I
you're
don't
saying
know.
it wasn't like a big staple of your college drinking experience?
No, like we did like shotguns. We did like beer funnels and all that
Did you
stuff.
do keg stands?
Um, uh, I feel like I saw very few keg stands.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like most of my friends weren't like crazy partiers in university. It was like you really had to seek it out, as part of my friend. I was probably like the most, uh, party seeking. Yeah, but yeah, I've never been in a keg stand. Just beer funnels.
It's
I've
fun.
funneled like 2 Guinnesses on St. Patty's before. And that I still hurt today from that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, I was gonna say next time we're all together, we gotta do a shotgun.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Which has, besides the physical elements of your recent drinking, was there another reason for like cutting back on alcohol? Is that like, some people like are like they do dry January, or they're like they pair it with like a meditation or kind of like an overall like lifestyle cleanse. Does that factor into it, or is it more just like you feel like shit and you want to do it less?
Yeah, it's mostly like feeling like shit. I don't really know much about taking care of my body and all that stuff except by feeling. I'm like, oh, I kind of feel I get hangovers a lot worse now.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I mean, my doctor also was like, "Oh, I detect high liver enzymes or whatever." I'm like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "I'm only 25. I have like high cholesterol. I have like all this shit." I'm like, "God damn it! All right, I guess I'll like be a little
more mindful.
Be a good boy,
Yeah.
and like eat a little better." So I do vegetarian like 2-3 times a week now, just so my doctor stops complaining, and it's been pretty good. Like, turns out there's a lot of good food out there.
There is. Cool. Okay. Well, I think we can maybe like wrap up, considering that you and I have been on the phone for like 5 hours now. Not that I don't enjoy being on the phone with you. Is there anything like, I don't know, did you have something you wanted to like talk about or like be asked?
Nothing in particular. I just kind of, thought about doing the podcast as like, just hanging out with people and just like talking about shit. It's like it's always fun to talk about shit.
Right?
Not that I didn't really have any agenda.
I mean, it's funny. I was at a friend's house yesterday. So a friend of mine that I went to college with, like, it's funny. I have like a camp of like, actually that's not true. Really, a lot of the girls that I like graduated college with, high school friends, married, pregnant, college friends, married.
Wow, really? We're the same age, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
I graduated. I started early and skipped a grade, so I graduated young. So I graduated college in 2017. So the people that I graduated with are now like 28, 27, 28. But still young compared to like metropolitan areas,
Sure.
But yeah, that's a whole. I'm like, oh, let's not talk about those pressures, shall we? As a woman, no. But I was at my friend's house yesterday. She's married. She has a house. They have a dog. They have like a big backyard, and we were just sitting on the back porch, like sipping white wine at like 4 p.m., just like chit chatting. And I was like, it was actually really nice, but it was really funny because I just had this kind of like grounding moment when I was driving home after sobering up, did not drive drunk. That like, not to be cheesy, but like the best parts of life are really just like talking with your friends. Like it's like literally that's
for sure.
This whole thing is really just like chilling with your friends, and everything else is a way to get to that. And so it's like it is really nice to like, whether that's a podcast or whether that's like a party or whether that is hanging out in a backyard or like, and like talking to them like in real life, not talking in Discord.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets harder, as like you grow older and shit. And like, I don't know. I was actually talking to somebody about this recently. It's like, why don't people just like show up at somebody's door anymore?
Yeah.
You remember like back in the days, like back in the days. But like, you know, like before, like when you're a kid, you like your parents wouldn't get you a cell phone yet and all that shit. It's like when you want to hang out with your buddy, like you just like show up at their door and be like, "Oh, it's like whoever home," and then like, you know, then you just like go chill. It's things like were more spontaneous and you know, it was more intentional and all that stuff. It was much nicer.
Yeah.
So I'm just hitting up people. I'm just gonna show up at people's doors now.
I mean, I'd love to, you know, but that's one of the things, you know, I think that was one of the beautiful things. My college was residential, because I know some aren't, but like you could do that, right? Or you would run into someone at like in like the dining hall. Like it was small enough that you would run into people, or that you would like go over and again knock on a door, like whatever. But there is a beauty in like community being physically concentrated that I think like I love that, you know, we're able, like our friend group, you know, our community is able to like work remote and like travel and like we're decentralized. Like that's a cool privilege, but it also is hard because like
it's hard.
We're not near each other.
Yeah. Sounds like school is much different in America than in Canada, at least like university. It's like
really?
I feel like it's much less community oriented here. It's like, you know, you see all the movies where it's like everybody's like at the fucking football game or whatever. It's like nobody like I have zero school pride. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I never did, and I don't think I ever will. It's like I like, you know, it was just like school.
Did you live?
And,
did
yeah,
people live in like
crazy
apartments and houses like off campus?
For the first year, I lived, you know, on student residence, but it was. I feel like it was quite uncommon for anybody to be living in student dorms after first year.
Wow.
I don't think there are even enough dorms for like everybody to live past first year. You kind of the norm was just to like move out into an apartment, but it was kind of like a student town. So it's like the building complex that you lived in was just all fucking students anyways. But yeah, there's like no like the sense of community and like, you know, all that was kind of different. It's like you better make all your friends in first year, like while you're living in the dorms, or you're gonna have to like try a lot harder to like make friends, like join a club or some shit like that, which I was never really into. I never joined a single club.
It's so funny. We are literally polar opposites in that sense.
Yeah. Like the thing is, like, I'm not even antisocial. It's just like, I don't want to fucking, like, I tried joining robotics club and I was like, I just lost interest so fast. I was like, this is boring. Like, I just want to go home and like watch TV and get high and like, you know, drink with my homies or whatever.
No, it's funny. I spoke about the community and some of those elements, but I actually never really felt it closely. And I sometimes wonder if it's because like I'm an only child, and so like sometimes my socialization, my socialization was delayed. But it is, you know, I am friends with a lot of people, but like having like kind of like a base group or like a core group that was never my reality in like high school or in college or whatever. And so sometimes I think about how like my social my social output was through activities and organizations, and like they were kind of like it was almost like a predictable way to like see certain people and to like engage in the community, as opposed to like if I didn't have but maybe it's a catch-22 because like maybe if I wasn't doing so many activities, I would maybe like find a core group, or I don't know, but yeah,
I guess it's really different like based on like how you grew up, where you grew up, and all that stuff. It's like I grew up in like the city. And it's like it was impossible to like not, you know, have a bunch of friends in the neighborhood or whatever.
I always grew up. I grew up as an only child, and we always lived in like apartment complexes in the suburbs. But like it's a little harder. I never played with other kids. Like I had never. Yeah, it was a very. It felt normal and fine, but now looking back, I'm like, ooh.
Well, it's still different. I mean, you know. So it's like the difference is just growing up in like, you know, a less dense and more dense area. Yeah, that's just, it's like the difference. Yeah. So that's why I never like, you know, university is just like very different for me. Yeah. We also don't have frats and shit here. I talked about this on the podcast with Robin last time. Okay. But it's like we don't really have like the idea, like we technically have like fraternities, but it's like not like common, you know.
Okay.
Like my university had like one frat and like one sorority or something like that, and it's like, yeah, it was kind of not the same as what you see in movies, which I hear is quite an accurate depiction of how they actually are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been fun if we had them. I wouldn't mind joining like a frat and doing like stupid shit.
It was
Like, I don't know.
definitely a vibe. Like it was a vibe for sure. And which now of course is getting canceled and is part of, you know, the takedown of, you know, many things. But it was it was fun while it lasted.
It's fun while it lasted. Yeah, I'm sure they're quite problematic, some aspects of them at least. But yeah.
I mean,
at least kids were having fun with each other
exactly.
and doing stupid shit.
Exactly. Okay, well, wrapping up, do you have a final sentence you would like to leave the Mochi community with? A word of advice. A word of advice for the listeners.
Word of advice? Yeah, I'm not really in a position to give any advice. Just take care of yourself. Do stupid shit, but don't do like crazy stupid shit. Just do stupid shit and do crazy shit, but not crazy stupid shit, and you'll be fine.
How do you define those two really quick? Or I guess what is crazy stupid? What is the do not do?
Just don't get in trouble. Okay. It's like I don't really know how to like describe it in words, but it's like, you know, I watch, you know, like random videos on like Reddit or something. I'm like, wow, that's fucking crazy. I'm like, wow, that's really stupid. And then like the ones where I'm like, ooh, it's like the crazy stupid ones. It's like you really shouldn't have done that, you know?
and posted it on Reddit.
Yeah, it's like it's like don't throw a can of gasoline in like already burning pile of wood. Like, don't do that.
Okay.
It's bad for you.
Okay.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
Noted.
But set shit on fire. That's fine. I don't know.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you for your time, for the laughs, and for your patience again.
No, thank you for your patience. You're the one who's doing all the heavy lifting. I was just watching for the last like few hours while
you were moral support. Moral support is key. Community is key. Community is key.
Community.
And stay tuned. I don't know what order this will be released, so either before or after this, there will be another Mochi Podcast plug featuring another member of our community, Eddie. So it's either before or after. I don't know when, but it's gonna be there. So okay. Bye everyone. Bye Mochi. Bye YouTube.
Peace out.